Alright, if you've ever seen the 1964 presidential campaign video, I'd pull it up, but it's a long video, or it's a commercial where there's a little girl picking flowers, counting numbers, then the nuclear bomb goes off. I don't know if anyone's seen it. It was for nuclear war, but if just kind of, that video was, LBJ ran the ad against his, I think it was Larry Goldwater. Goldwater was his last name, and that was his opposing candidate. And the video basically scared the American public out of voting for Goldwater. Not saying that he would have won anyway, but it was a landslide election. And that video or commercial, I think, like, typifies the American, like, fear of nuclear anything, whether it's nuclear war, like in that year, nuclear power, whatever. So today, I would like to explain to you how nuclear power works in terms of just what is it, as well as some of the pros and cons. So nuclear power is controversial. I think most of us, when you hear nuclear power, one of the first things that comes to our mind is like a mushroom cloud, or if it is like Homer Simpson working at his thing in nuclear power and you're confused and don't know what's going on. And you got mutated animals, four-eyed fish, and is that really what it is? Is that not what it is? And really, you look at a nuclear power plant, and that's one up the coast a ways in like Central California coast. And so you look at that and it's like, well, that looks kind of like any other power plant except those, but it looks like a power plant, and you don't really know what's going on inside. So nuclear fission is the actual process of what is happening inside. And that is the process of splitting the atom. And in nuclear fission, what happens is you have your atom, and you send, and all this stuff is happening so fast and it's so small, we can't see it or really even totally comprehend it, and the most brilliant scientists are figuring it out. But they shoot an electron at the atom, splits it, and what that does is it sends 3 neutrons in different directions coming out of it. And then those 3 neutrons are, sorry, I screwed up. When I said electron shoot originally, it's a neutron. So then it shoots out 3 neutrons, and each one of those goes and hits another atom, and it splits those, and it shoots 3 more out of those, and boom, 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 boom. And each time an atom gets split, it releases a lot of heat and radiation. And the best element out of all the elements on the periodic table for nuclear power is uranium. And it's because it's a slightly, what's the word? Well, it's like nuclear anyway, so it's naturally, like, has natural fission going on every day, just real slowly. Then when you shoot the electron, it just speeds it up. So since it's already kind of on the path, that's why it makes sense for uranium to be the element in nuclear power plants. And you also heard plutonium, like Homer uses, is plutonium. You always hear, if you watch the show, the plutonium rod and stuff. That's another thing, uranium, plutonium. All plutonium is it's made from uranium, where they just add, so that when they shoot the neutron at it, instead of shooting 3 neutrons out to split other ones, it shoots more. It's all, in layman's terms, the difference between plutonium and uranium. So when that energy, or when the atoms split, that creates energy, and that's a ton of heat, and it's induced diffusion is what it's called, because they're inducing it by shooting a neutron at it. And a positive that lots of proponents of nuclear power say is, well, uranium is there's a lot of it on the planet. It's been around since the planet was formed. It's not the kind of thing you just go pick up in the ground. but there's just straight uranium mines in different parts of the world. And nowadays there's people concerned with alternative energy because all of our crude oil, we're using it up and we're looking for alternative energies. Well, uranium, proponents of it say there's plenty of it. When you use it, it's so strong you only use a tiny bit, and it's like good to go. The hardest part is what do you do after you've used it, the disposal of it. But in terms of using it, it's not going to run out anytime soon, is what they say, and you don't use that much of it anyway. And the science thing about it is uranium has an extremely long, as does plutonium, half-life, which confuses when I start getting confused. But it lasts a long time. So that's why one little bit of uranium can produce so much power, because it lasts. And there are different types of uranium, and just to rattle off some numbers, U-238 makes up 99% of uranium, and that is the type that is used in most of nuclear power. There's two more types, and they're like man-made. They're not totally natural. It's when they shove protons and neutrons and stuff into that U-238, just kind of modifications of it. So the radiation produces like a super kind of energy that, so once the chain reaction where I was describing, when the neutrons go bang, bang, and keep sending them off, it the heat from one and heat from the other, creates a ton of heat, and that's a ton of energy. And these plants, I have a picture of another plant too. Basically looks the same. The other plant, the same thing. It just kind of takes inside, and there's water running. So they have their water pumping through, and it pumps through like a little chamber inside these things where there's the uranium. If you look at if you were to go into a nuclear power plant, where the uranium is in the water, it's not much. It's mostly just pipes pumping water through, and there's the uranium taking cool water drink. That's why it's near the ocean. This cool ocean water heats it up, and that's what produces the energy. So it's kind of just like a big pump coming through, and it goes through like filtration to get the uranium from not running out. So that's another thing proponents say of it, is nuclear energy is actually really clean. If you've been to the LA Harbor, you know the water is not very clean. If you've been to San Onofre, about an hour south, you've been there, you know the water is totally clean, and that's with nuclear energy. So that's what proponents of nuclear power say, and they do admit that the hardest thing is what to do with it after. But in a world of people looking for alternative power, lots of people are starting to think that Americans should get over their fear of nuclear power, or nuclear anything, and use this stuff. And that's it. Oh, I was the only one.
Anto, what did you think?
I thought he explained the thesis very well. He did a great job of explaining how nuclear fission works, and he touched up on some pros. I didn't catch any cons that he said in the thesis that we talked about. I think to try to make his explanation shorter, because I got kind of lost after reading the first 2 minutes. And his visual aids were really effective, and making a reference to the coding solution really easy to understand. So that's